Good Tuesday morning, my dear friends. It is so great to be back with you all again. Of course, many of you know that I have not been down on my perch at the beach due to a really bad cold, which I continue to battle, but I'm getting the upper hand on this thing and heading in the right direction. Yesterday, I was on board the El Patron, and what a great day it was because so many great people showed up. And the crew on the El Patron, absolutely fantastic. What a fun time. And I want to thank each and every one of you who showed up on board the El Patron. We got to goof around with three kids, Michael Limon, Ethan Parcells, and Christian Isaac. And they kept all us old guys on our toes. I'll have more on that trip in just a moment, but thanks to all of you who showed up. A reminder, Tackle Shop Confessions tonight, live from Island Fishing Tackle in Carson, California. I will be back with my old friend Sam De La Torre. That is going to be a lot of fun. And also this Thursday, we'll be over at the Redondo Beach Rod and Gun Club. There will be a sushi demonstration. Not only that, you'll get to partake of some delicious sushi. We will be there Thursday night to film that whole thing. So if you can't make it, we will have it for you. If you can make it, I highly recommend you come by because that's going to be a really fun night. Mackie the Magnificent and yours truly will be there. Michael Limon and Dan Lightfoot, his grandpa, and several other great people. And, of course, all the great folks from the Redondo Beach Rod and Gun Club. Don't miss it. All right, let's start south of the border, down in beautiful Ensenada, Baja California, where we recently spent some time down there. It's always great to go to Botes Juanitos and see Paulina and her mom and her aunt. We took down some goods for some of the local folks down there, and we are planning even a bigger giveaway a little bit later this year. So we are working on that right now for you all. In Ensenada, the bluefin tuna fishing has been a lot more hit and miss here recently, as it has been just about everywhere. We'll get into the San Diego bite and LA Orange County bite here in just a moment. Sometimes you get them, a lot of times you miss. There's big bonito offshore mixed with that 20 to 60 pound bluefin tuna. There has been bluefin tuna to the north and to the south and even straight out, but right now it's way more hit and miss. Just the last 48 hours or so, it has become a lot more difficult. As I mentioned, there's that big bonito around. You can also find some really good local barracuda, calico bass fishing, and also some excellent rockfish, sand, and calico bass, I should mention. And once again, that Puna Bond area especially has been kicking out some great calico bass fishing. And there's that yellowtail zooming around there also. Surface iron or even a yo-yo iron is a really good idea to have rigged up just about anywhere you bump around. I know that Louis Prieto from It's For Real Sport Fishing has been out recently and caught some yellowtail. There's been quite a bit of that around down there, so hopefully that's going to settle in and bite. You can find some great action. It may not be on the bluefin tuna, but you can find something to throw in the sack and have a beautiful day, and the weather's been gorgeous down in beautiful Ensenada. All right, let's talk bluefin tuna out of San Diego, and right now it is very hit and miss. There are some decent scores, some really good scores. Condor had limits on a recent trip, and then there are some clunkers that are going on with some very slow fishing. Polaris Supreme 3-day trip, 23 guys, great trip, 103 bluefin tuna. In fact, our dear friend Johnny Garma was on that trip, and he put the wood to him. Had fantastic fishing. Way to go, John. The San Diego on a full-day trip, you know, they go out in the morning, come back that same afternoon. They have 1 bluefin tuna, 8 yellowtail, and 15 bonita. They have had some really good fishing on the bluefin tuna, fly lining as well as sinker fishing, and even some iron fish. But yesterday was much slower, as it has been here for a while now. Aztec, a day and a half trip, 26 guys, 7 bluefin tuna. Islander, 3-day trip, 25 bluefin, a yellowtail for 19 anglers. Pacific Queen, a day and a half trip for 3 yellowtail. And those are some really good boats. So when they're struggling, you know it's a little bit on the tougher side. Hopefully it all settles down. Perhaps this bluefin tuna is on the move. And we get an idea of that from the Amigo. The Amigo at a 22nd Street landing in San Pedro, San Pedro, California. They have some openings this week, and you might want to jump on board. We'll get into the San Clemente Island bite in a second, but the Amigo, They were looking at some fish, and it looked like almost dolphin jumping out of the water. Galley chef Jason Lawler says he was looking at it, and he goes, "What the heck?" And then Mark Sonata put the glasses on it. Mark's a great guy on board the Amigo, and he said, "Guys, get ready. Get your heaviest tackle. These are 150-plus pound BFT coming out of the water after fishing San Clemente Island without exactly telling you where. You can kind of surmise that it's somewhere around there. Maybe that fish is starting to move up. They get a 150-pounder out of it. They had an incredible show. They dumped a couple of others, and they were woefully unprepared because they were trying to catch 40-pound yellowtail, 25-pound yellowtail at SCI. So some of that fish has moved up, and perhaps that's where this is all going right now. Speaking of San Clemente Island, wow, there's squid there, and there's some outstanding fishing. There's an awful lot of boats anchored up in the same place in the very early morning hours. In the morning hours, it's a squid bite on the dropper loop, and you can fish 60-pound, and I highly recommend you do it. There's a lot of 25 to 40-pound yellowtail biting over there. Those are just superior grade. You'll get some 10 to 20 pounders mixed in with it, but that squid fish in the morning on the dropper loop has been the big stuff. In the afternoon, you're fishing sardines, and you're focused mostly on that 10 to 20 pound yellowtail. And now with the chance at bluefin tuna, wow, it's looking good. Again, don't forget Amigo, 310-832-8304. They have some openings this week. I highly recommend you take a look at it. At Catalina Island, we continue to see a few white sea bass and halibut, some decent calico bass fishing, and also we continue to see the occasional yellowtail over there. Not wide open, but conditions are beautiful, and the weather is gorgeous on board the Pursuit yesterday. They had absolutely beautiful weather at Catalina Island. Now, we went up to Santa Barbara Island on board the El Patron out of Long Beach, sport fishing, had an absolutely great time. We had a very, very strong current that made fishing very difficult. You drop your line up off the bow, and you were back in the stern before you knew it. Picked off like 3 nice lingcod and some big reds, and then topped off with some whitefish, hardly wide open, kind of a fair bite at best, but a really great time because the El Patron crew is so wonderful, and the people who showed up for this Friedman Adventures trip were awesome, including the kids like Michael Lemon, like Christian Isaac, like Ethan Parcells. We had an absolute ball with some fine young men. I will tell you that right now. Channel Islands, there's been some pretty good hits on halibut and white sea bass, but not for everybody, and no consistency to it. We continue to see a little bit of white sea bass up there, and at times an explosion up there on the Coral Sea. They've been doing pretty good on the white sea bass out of Santa Barbara. They had 2 white sea bass on their most recent trip, and then just really great rock fishing for boats like the Endeavor and the Island Spirit. We're going to check with Captain Daniel Hadaway just a little bit later today on board the Island Spirit in a special live update. I'll have that for you shortly. Don't forget, the Island Spirit is available for you every single day out of Ventura Sport Fishing. Get on board the Island Spirit. They're having some great rock fishing, and the surface bite continues to come on every single day. Calico and sand bass and barracuda and rockfish has been outstanding. 805-676-3474. The Californian also out of there, and the Endeavor. Great customer service, wonderful people, and some really good fishing. Don't forget, we'll have Daniel a little bit later here today, and we would love for you to jump on board the Island Spirit as they do a great job on the coastal regions, half-day boats. Pretty good bass fishing down in San Diego, but they also, on the new Seaforth Twilight last night, had 4 yellowtail, and those forkies were like 30-pound fish. Really big, big fish. Pretty decent calico bass fishing, not wide open, but pretty darn good. So we're watching that for you. Elsewhere, a lot of shallow water rockfish with some more bass, occasional barracuda flurries around, but a lot of sheepshead, whitefish, rockfish on the local scene. In the surf, we continue to see some pretty darn good fishing on Corvina, more and more yellowfin croaker, some good spot fin croaker fishing, and also we are seeing some halibut on Lucky Craft type lures. That's been working well. And don't forget Big Fish Bait and Tackle on the corner of Seal Beach Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway. They have all your bait needs down there. They are truly wonderful. They have a giveaway every single month. This month for the biggest halibut, all you got to do is go in there and buy their ruler, and then you are in the tournament. They've got all the rules down there. The ruler is cheap, and you're in the tournament, and they're giving away that custom rod, not just this month, but every single month of 2024. You can hardly beat it. All right, my friends, darn this cold. It's been giving me a world of trouble, but I'm struggling to get over it with you all. And of course, I'm going to gut it out and do Tackle Shop Confessions tonight. And then Thursday night, that great sushi event that we would love to see you at. You get to learn how to make sushi, and you're going to get to eat some sushi. It's a win-win deal. It's $20. As you can see, it would be great to see you there. And we'll be doing some more El Patron trips here shortly. I'll be announcing those in the very, very near future. I know many of you have seen it, but I'm going to play it one more time. Ryan Block on board the Apollo. Here is
right,
Ryan.
Guys, real quick here, let's go over a few things. Welcome on board the Apollo. We got pretty much a new crew here. I know we fished with some of you guys last year. Gary's our new chef. He's awesome. Gary's going to take care of you. If he's not back there, the drinks and stuff are right here in this cooler. It's kind of like an honor system. Just mark them down. But other than that, he'll be back there most of the time helping you guys out. Need anything, let him know. Our crew out there, we have Oscar as the night captain. We have Blair is the black deckhand, and then Shad is the other deckhand. Awesome guys. You guys are going to like them. They're really good. They've both worked on other boats and stuff in the past, so they're just new to us this season. And then my name's Ryan, if you guys haven't met me yet. We are going to be probably traveling all day today, guys. I know this was probably originally kind of like an island trip, hoping for sea bass and stuff at these islands, but it's not going on. It's not going on. We've caught a couple sea bass the whole year, a few yellowtail here and there. We caught some yellowtail at Cortez the last trip, and if the weather's nice on, one of these days, we might venture out there, depending. But we were just there on the last trip that Jeff ran, and we didn't see no sign of yellowtail. So that was kind of like a 1 or 2 day thing where there was a couple of yellows out there. So I think our tentative game plan, if you guys are cool with it, travel down all day today, fish all night for this bluefin. It's been kind of like every other night. It's really good, and then there's a few slow nights. So we've got 2 full nights to go at it if you guys are game. I think, it only takes 1 stop to make our freaking whole trip. You know what I mean? There's some really good stops to be had. So if we can get one of those with some actual lines in the water, we've had a couple drifts lately, man, where it was just like we didn't have the firepower. We had, some light charters, 12 guys, 5 guys in the water, and just like it's like, man, and they get one, and then they're like, oh cool, I'm gonna sit down on the patio and chill. And like we had a 4-hour drift with 12 guys on the boat. We caught 19 fish. It was like, any other boat would have had 100. I made 10 drops and hooked 8. The guys didn't even want to fish. It was like, dude, they're really good fishermen too, but they just have caught them, and they were kind of like, so yeah, there's potential for stuff like that going on. So we're gonna cross our fingers, hope we get a good night stop. And that could make our whole trip. Tomorrow during the day, if you guys are cool with it, I would like to probably hit that 60-mile bank or something, because we'll be out there, load up on rockfish. It's pretty easy rock fishing. They just opened that this last year for the first time. It's been closed forever. So really good red fishing and grouper fishing out there. So we should be able to load up pretty easily in half a day maybe, and if that. And then we'll kind of go from there. There hasn't been much to catch in the daytime for this tuna. So we'll see. There was a couple boats that snuck in on the tuna pens down the beach by that 425 the last few days and caught some big ones. They're losing a lot of them, but they're hooking some. The Royal Star was the only boat that actually did like some numbers on them. I think they had 18 fish for 2 mornings on that stuff, and it was like almost all cows. So we might like to try and spend a morning there if it's still going on. Yeah. I know. I'm kind of excited about that. That's all sinker rig fishing. It was, yeah, 80-pound sinker rig stuff. So that's part of the game plan tentatively too. Depending on how our night goes tonight, we might even start there tomorrow morning. Just depends. If we suck tonight, and we might want to get some meat in the boat, you know, and we'll go from there. We'll see. That's kind of the tentative game plan. And then we got the whole next night to fish. What we'll probably do is try and cover some distance, get back and fish the island or something for the last day. Since we got to be in the evening, that'll give us a good amount of fishing time, fish the island till 1 or 2 o'clock. We had some good bass fishing on the backside and on the northwest end and stuff the last few trips. So, and we did catch 2 sea bass because we had some squid in the tank. That helped. But, you know, there's some fish around at the island. It's kind of been slow on the front, small yellowtail. Just a little bit of a mixed bag. We've caught some halibut in the cove drifting. So we'll see how the trip goes, and we'll probably play around with that on the last day a little bit. I already mentioned to you guys, as far as the night tackle, you want pretty much your heaviest setup, 80 or 100-pound braid with a short leader, 4 or 5 foot leader. Don't make your leader so long that you wind your swivel to the tip and we can't gaff the fish. It's got some guys that get that leader too long and it's kind of tough. So you pretty much want the leader as long as your rod, so you can hook the jig on your reel and not have to like wrap it all up and stuff. That's a good rule of thumb. And then if you got another setup, like a 40, 50-pound setup, I would rig that with a double dropper loop for tomorrow's, in case we do the rock cod fishing. Some of you, depending on what you have, if you really want to get that 80-pound sinker rig ready, if you got another rod, that'd be good too. Some of you might be doubling your jig rod as your sinker rig rod, so we'll just switch it over if we have to for that. The sinker rigs that have been working good are that brawler rig, where it's pretty much a fly line rig, and then you tie, you know, this much mono to the ring, and then you have your, you know, 4 6-ounce sinker like that, like kind of like a freshwater drop shot rig. We haven't been doing the rubber band thing anymore. It gets all twisted up and kind of a mess, tangled. That's about it, guys, as far as the fishing goes. Real quick, life-saving equipment. These 4 benches right here have our life jackets under them. There's a life raft up on top there, designed to float free if we needed it, inflatable. There's a life ring buoy on the bow. Fire extinguishers are back here in all the staterooms, 2 in the engine room and 1 in the wheelhouse. Never had to use any of that stuff, and hopefully we never do, but just in case, that's where it's located. You guys know if anybody were to go overboard, make sure you make a lot of noise, yell man overboard, throw one of those trash cans so we have a floating target. That's never happened either. Let's hope it never does. Just be careful if we're traveling at night. You know, that's when it's real dangerous. If you're leaning over the rail or something like that at night, that's when you could really lose someone and be in trouble. So if you're feeling sick for whatever reason, especially at night, just throw up on the deck. Try to get out of the bunk room or out of here, please. Try not to go in the bathrooms, but you don't have to really like be leaning over the side. Don't worry about it. We hose it right off. We don't want to lose somebody over that. As far as these bathrooms go, try to always leave these doors open so they air out good, and then you know that they're not occupied. If they're closed, people are kind of like waiting and wondering and stuff. They don't want to be rude and open it. So just leave them open. They air out better that way too. And then the bunk room doors are opposite. We always leave those closed, okay? That way the AC keeps nice and cold and it's quiet down there, especially if we're doing a lot of night fishing. We'll be rotating some of the crew for naps and the night captain and all that stuff. So we try to be courteous when we're down there in the bunk rooms, you know. Sometimes guys get drinking and they get loud down there. It's kind of frustrating. Let the guys get their naps. And even your friends and stuff, I'm sure, are going to want to be taking naps down there when we're doing a lot of night fishing. So try and be courteous when you're in the bunk room. No drinks down there, that kind of thing too. Any questions, guys? No?
Can we put out some trolling rigs when we get close to the tuna grounds?
Yeah, when we get really, really close, when we're in the tuna grounds.
In other words, you ain't stopping.
You drop them.
Or
You drop them early. There hadn't been anything much to catch on the troll. I mean, most of this stuff is big fish. But yeah, I mean, if we get there before dark,
Okay.
I gotta map it out still and see exactly how far. There's kind of been a couple different zones. There's some smaller fish and some bigger fish. There's some of this stuff out by that butterfly the last few nights where has been like almost all 100-pound fish. That's probably where we're going to start. So it's probably going to be in the 80, 90 mile range. So we'll probably just time it to get there right at before dark and kind of start looking around, because there hasn't been much to catch during the day out there. Aside from that new tuna pen thing that's developed in the last few days, there hasn't been much to catch in the day hours on tuna. So that's pretty much it, I think, guys. They did drop the limit for reds to 2 a person per day, so we're allowed to keep 4 reds. if you guys are cool with it, like that 60-mile bank, if we fish there, it's pretty much usually a slaughter. We're gonna get what we need. Unless you get like a giant standout, we're probably just gonna batch them all together and everybody gets 4. If you guys are okay with that, if it's biting, you know what I mean. We'll be able to judge it pretty quick if it's biting, but that way it's just easier for the guys to have, you know, and it's easier for us to keep track. If everybody wants to tag every single red, and then it's like we don't stop until we've got whatever it is, 80 or something, and it's like some guys have 6 and some guys have 2, and then it gets all weird. So, or if you tag them and then you're like, okay, you got 4, and then it's like, oh, but this one's bigger. Oh, but this one's bigger, and it starts getting weird. So we'll probably just batch them, and everybody will get a limit of reds if we end up doing that, and it's good. So as long as you guys are cool with that. Any other questions?
What time you gonna hit fishing ground tonight?
Probably right around dark. Yeah, it's 80, 90 miles. Yeah, it's pretty far. Yeah, about that. It's 8 o'clock. We'll keep you posted. But I would also, guys, like I mentioned earlier, I would as soon as Gary gets lunch out, I would probably try and get a nap in, because it's like I was saying with some of those lighter load groups, especially. It's hard to really do much with that tuna if you don't got lines in the water. You know what I mean? That's why some of those boats like the Low End and the Queen, obviously they're great operations, have great captains and all that stuff too, but when they got 35 killers in the water, guys that are hungry and they want it, you can do damage a lot quicker than when we got 5 guys in the water. You know, it's just tough to do much. Even the school sticks to you better the more you got hung and all that stuff, you know. And you figure 21.
Bite better if you're straight up and down. If you're scoped out,
right,
you're not going to get it. It's straight up and down fishing.
Yeah, it's a good point. So it depends on how fast the drift is, guys. If it's real windy, you want a heavier jig. If it's pretty calm, like a 200 or 300 gram, a 200 gram SK jig works good when it's nice and calm. If it's really windy, I like those 300 or 400 gram, like the West Coast jiggers, or those tall 16-ounce sinkers have been one of the best things you can use if anybody's got those. Yeah, those work really good.
Forecast is for good weather, right, Ryan?
Yeah,
I looked at it last time.
Yep. There's a little bit of breeze, but not, I think, on day 2, but it doesn't look bad at all.
Good.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, when you drop those jigs, guys, at night, it depends how fast the drift is. If your line starts going way out, typically you're going to get one good drop down to 350, whatever I tell you the fish are at, and you start bringing it up halfway, drop it back down. If that angle starts, you know, going out and out and out, just wind up and start over. The best thing you can do is pitch it downwind a little bit in the downwind corner or off the bow downwind. You can't get completely downwind, but you can get an angle off the bow or the stern, and that helps it stay vertical for longer as we're drifting. And that'll definitely help you get bit better. It's kind of like an assembly line. You start there, kind of work your way over here. The guys that are over here wind up, start over in that corner. You don't really want to drop like all crisscrossed in between everybody, and everything just kind of winds up tough. So, and you really want to be courteous of the fish, guys. If we got a couple fish hooked up, don't drop near them. That gets frustrating if like you just start dropping right on fish. So if anything, if your line's not super tight, I would just wind tight, make sure you know where that fish is. If you're real close to them, just get out of there and start over ideally. Because we've had some bad tangles on a few of those fish. So, you know, and we don't want to, but a few guys have had to lose a jig or two real bad.
No angles, no tangles?
Yeah. Yep.
It'll be more jig fishing than dropper loop.
At night, it's pretty much all jigs, yeah.
Out of focus.
Yep. Any more questions?
So like 400 grams on 100, and then we have 2 daily
300 grams, yeah. And you're allowed, 2 tuna a day. Yeah, 150. You can use 80 or 100 pound braid is probably perfect, and then like 150 pound leader, 200 pound leader, something like that. And if you guys want us to crimp your jigs, we got plenty of that stuff upstairs. So just hand your jigs to the boys once we get rolling, and we can help you guys out, get your jig all crimped up proper so it's ready to go. Anything else? No? All right, let's have a good trip, guys. All right, no problem.